Hello everybody, it's Anne from Anne's Stampin' Up here in Simcoe, Ontario. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and if you live in Canada and you don't have your own demonstrator, you can shop with me at stampsandtea@gmail.com, or you can use my demonstrator website, which is stampsandtea.stampinup.net. So welcome everybody. We're going to make a quick and simple card today. This card is cased from a lady called Mary Knabe, which is Knabe, and she has a lovely blog called stampinpeace.com. So I've turned the camera down and this is the card we're going to make today. As I say, cased from Mary Knabe at stampinpeace.com. It uses the Soft Seedlings stamp set, which is on page 53 of the mini catalogue, the July to December. At the top of the page there's this lovely embossing folder called Leaf Fall Embossing Folder. Works really well with the stamp set, so that's what we're going to use today. So we're just going to put that aside and we'll get going, and I will tell you what we need to make this card. First of all, I'll just show you the stamp set so you can see it a little better up close. There it is. It's got beautiful maple leaf in and everything. It's perfect for Canadian. Now you can use it for American Thanksgiving as well, and that's okay because they haven't had the Thanksgiving yet. So 2 or 3, 4 nice sentiments, a couple of leaves, and it's beautiful. This embossing folder is just gorgeous, and it would sort of emboss, you know, the top right corner of your card, or if this was your card, it would emboss along here and down here. Really very nice. So that's what we're going to use this morning. I'm just going to put it out of the way. The supplies we need will be a piece of old olive, which is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, and I'm saying score it at 5 1/2. You're going to score it at 5 1/2, but then you're going to turn it around because the fold is going to be on the left side of your card. Then we have a piece of early espresso, which is, distressed gold paper. Now I didn't have the distressed gold paper, but what I had from last year was called let me see, Golden Garden Designer Acetate. It's lovely. It has gold leaves on, and it's going to work really well on this. So Mary used the distressed gold paper. I didn't have that, so I've used the gold printed acetate, and this piece of acetate is 5 1/4 by 4, and we're going to just tuck it in there for now. Then we have a piece of pumpkin pie, lovely pumpkin pie, which is 2 1/4 by 4, and that's the piece we're going to emboss. And then we got a piece of crumb cake and very vanilla, and they are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 each. And we've got a piece of early espresso, which is 3 by 8 and scored at 4, so it folds in half like this. The card itself is called a Joy Fold card, and if you Google it, you'll see lots and lots of samples with it. So we're going to get started right away. First thing we're going to do is emboss this piece of pumpkin pie, and that's just so I can get the big shot in and out of the way and be done with it. So let me just put that down there. Because this is a 3D folder, we only need plate number 1 and plate number 4. Okay, plate number 1 of course is your base plate, your big thick plate. You always use that. My piece of pumpkin pie, if I put it like this, it's not going to emboss at the top. If I put it there, it's not going to emboss at the, let me just do that again. If I put it up here, it's not going to emboss the top corner. I'm going to turn it on an angle like that, so that I get the most embossing I can all over my piece of pumpkin pie cardstock. There. So I'm not sure you can see it very well, but you can see how I've got it, and it's not corner to corner, but certainly on an angle. And we're just going to run that through the embossing folder once. Oops, I've got this the wrong way. We'll do it this way. There we go. Oops. Keep going. This can go out of the way because we're done with it. We're finished with it. They can go away because the more supplies we get off the desk, the more room we've got to work. The next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to bring in my pierce mat so that I can stamp on here. We've got some inks that we're going to use, and what we have are Early Espresso, Soft Suede, Old Olive, Pumpkin Pie and Daffodil Delight. We've got some daubers. We're going to do a technique this morning where we're going to dab the ink from the ink pad onto the leaf stamp so that we can get fall colours, a little bit of orange, a little bit of green. If you look at the card I made, you can see how it's green in the centre and it goes out to orange and it goes out to yellow. Okay, that's what we're going to accomplish with these daubers this morning. So let me put that where I can reach it. And the first thing we're going to do is stamp on our piece of Very Vanilla, which was 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And I'm just going to put that down. The sentiment I'm going to use from this leaf stamp, Soft Seedlings stamp set says "So Grateful," and I'm going to stamp that in Early Espresso. Just make sure I've got lots of ink on there. Might have a little too much. Make sure it's straight. And I'm just stamping that in the bottom corner of my... Yep, I messed that up. I had ink on the edge of my stamp. Let me see. There. Okay, we'll do that again. This piece is going to be glued right down so I can turn it over and use the back of the card. That's better. Okay, so we'll pop that out of the way. We're done with the espresso. Early Espresso ink pad. We'll set it there. So now we're going to colour the leaf stamp, and it's a big stamp, so I've put it on my biggest block so that I've got room to work and room to see it and whatever. So we're going to start with a little bit of Soft Suede, and I'm just taking a dauber out of my box and putting it on my middle finger so that I can hold it with my other fingers. You see, I'm holding it with these two fingers and my thumb, and I'm just going to dab that into the ink pad and pick up some ink, and I'm going to do what I'm calling the maple keys and the stem, and I'm just making sure I've got lots of colour on there. I don't want it to be too dark. This is a kind of a soft and subtle card. Okay, get rid of that. We're going to the Old Olive. I've got another dauber, and we're picking up some green. Now we're going to make this, dab this into the middle of the leaf, and this is Old Olive. Sit down. And then we've got some Pumpkin Pie. And we're going around the outside of the green. So we're making this look like a leaf that just fell off the maple tree on the front yard. And then we've got some Daffodil Delight for the very outside. And I'm just brushing that on the outside of my leaf, so it's not too dark. And then we're going to do the old huffing trick where you breathe heavily on your stamp just to make sure it's all still wet. That's me breathing on the stamp set. And then down it goes on my card. Pick it up, and I'm going to breathe on it again. And just put a little bit of another leaf over here somewhere. There, just very faint. Now if we want to decorate the envelope, now's the time to decorate the envelope, and I think we will. We're going to run through those colours again. We've got some soft suede for the stem. And we've got some old olive for the middle of the leaf. Some pumpkin pie. Around there. And some yellow Daffodil Delight. Oh, there it goes. Right around the edge. Put that back in there. Huff on the stamp again. Check my envelope is the right way up. I'm going to put that on the back of the envelope, just like that. Then I'm going to turn this over and stamp right across the flap. Now this one will be very much fainter, but still very pretty. Give that a good wipe. And just set it there. Put these out of the way. There, so you've stamped the front, and you see how much deeper the colour is on the front, but then you just breathe on it again and you've got a beautiful leaf on the back as well. So let's push that there, let's set that to dry. So let's put the card together. So we've got this piece of old olive, which as I say is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, and then scored at 5 1/2, turned around so your fold is on the left. We've got this piece of acetate which is 5 1/4 by 4, and it's going to go here. Now the acetate, you would be able to see the adhesive on the middle or wherever you put it, but because this piece of early espresso is going to go right in the center of the card, I'm going to lie this down and get a visual, just eyeball where I want my adhesive to go so that it doesn't stick out at the sides or the top and bottom of the adhesive, of the old espresso. Alright, that's good. Okay, so I'll turn this over, and by the way, this is silver on the back and it's just as pretty as the gold on the front. It really is. So I'm just going to use my roll-on adhesive, and I'm going to put 2 or 3 strips across the middle, and I'm really putting a little extra on here because I don't want it to come off. I'm going to turn that over in case there's any ink on it, and I'm just going to put this right on the inside of the card. There. Now you really, when I look at it, you can barely see the adhesive. If you were a stamper, you would notice the adhesive. If you're not a stamper, you're not going to notice the adhesive. Then we have the piece of early espresso, which is going to go on the inside, and it's going to have the fold at the right hand side. That, and it's going to go right in the center, just like that. And then we have a piece of crumb cake, which is 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. It's going to go on the inside of the early espresso. So that you've got a little spot to write in. There. Then on the front we have the piece of embossed pumpkin pie. And I'm putting a little extra adhesive on there just so that it is not going to fall off, because an embossed piece, you don't get your adhesive all the way around the outside, you know. There's little spots that would be missed. And don't press down too hard on your embossed piece, because you can press the embossing out of there, and we don't want that. And then we need this piece that we've stamped on the top of the early espresso. Just like this. There it goes. Basically there's the card finished. I'm just going to take about 20 inches maybe 20 inches of a very fine, what would I call this, like a linen thread, I think it is, a linen thread. And I'm just going to make a double loopy bow, making my rabbit ears, putting it through. And then what you do, keep the tails, you can let go of the loops, okay? There's the loops, I've let go. But you got to hold those, but work the tails back. Hold the tails tight so that you're pulling the loops. The loops you can always pull back to make them the right size, whatever size you need, okay? So we're going to, which loop are we pulling? We've got the thread on the right, so we're pulling the left loop. And then the thread on the left, or the tail on the left, we're pulling the right loop. There. You see if I can get those to lie nicely. Make them about the same size. Tuck that to the back. I want that tail down at the back. I need a glue dot. Oh, there they are. A mini glue dot right in the middle of the loops on the back of the knot. And then I'm just going to sort of roll that glue dot, because it's bigger than the knot I've made. So I'm just going to sort of curl the glue dot back on itself a little bit so that it doesn't stick out as sticky on the front of my card. And I'm just going to pop this somewhere here, like that. Look at my loops and make sure my loops are about the same size. You've still got time to pull them and straighten them. Trim the threads. And there it is. A lovely card and a lovely envelope. So there it is. Lovely card, lovely envelope. I can't say this week this is my own design, but I can say I'm sure you would be able to copy and share it. And as always, if you sell your cards, put the Stampin' Up! Angel stamp on the back of the cards, which just says all the supplies used are Stampin' Up! Supplies. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week. Bye.